Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wild Beyond the Witchlight. This is a special episode tonight, actually, because instead of running episode 4, we are running a How to Run Chapter 1. Because if you've been watching, you saw that we just recently completed the Witchlight Carnival portion of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and we're going to be moving into this. We have an ulterior motive for this, and that is that Christa is quite sick because she caught something babysitting her nephews.
We got pumpkins and we got to ride on a train, but I also got very sick out of it, so...
Well, thankfully it's just like kid cold and not,
Yes, I have a negative COVID test, so I'm hopefully not dying.
Oh, good.
We were very nervous about this, but we didn't want to announce anything or anything.
That's all good.
And you'll be muting off and on for that, so that'll be good. So folks, tonight what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about Chapter 1 of Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and so there might be spoilers. There probably will be spoilers, actually. So if you are looking to play this, be warned that we're going to be spoiling Chapter 1 and Chapter 1 only, as far as I can tell. And we're going to talk a little bit about the module as a whole, and also I want you to hear from the players and see what they thought of the game and what things they preferred to do, so that when it's time for you to run for your players or for play under your dungeon master, you know what to do and what to go for. Because yeah, it's nice learning from experience. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and do introductions. So I'm Kelly, I'm the dungeon master here. You see him, and if this is your first time watching Dork Tales, welcome. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm an Aquarius, and I need a lot of coffee today because it's been a long one, man. All right, why don't we pass the ball? Let's just do a big loop. So I'll pass it to Christine.
Hello, I'm Christine. I play Gwendolyn Shafra in this game. She is our human monk. I use she, her pronouns, and I don't know, I'm a Virgo.
Nice. I don't know why that's nice. Let's pass it over to Hayden. You're nice.
And I unmuted. There we go. Hi. Hi guys, I'm Hayden Davio. I use they them pronouns, and usually I play Nico Freya, the Quetzaltria Archfey Warlock. Hello.
Nice. All right, let's quickly pass it down to Christa.
Hi guys, I'm Christa. I usually play Isaac Rinaldi of the Runegling, and my voice is deeper actually even than this right now. This is just smelly cat sick voice.
What are
and
they
I'm
feeding
Scorpio. Awful. Well, right now fruit snacks.
Oh,
so
nice. Let's pass it over to Robin.
There's the button. There's the button, Kronk. I can do it. Hello everyone. I'm Robin. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns, and I usually play epic rap battle boss Cicera Novus.
Cicera Novus versus Julia Child.
Dungeon Master. Yeah. I'm a Leo.
Yep. And let's pass it to Caitlin.
Hello everyone, I'm Caitlin. Usually I play Luthien Eredel, our high elf fighter in the Chronicle. I'm a Sagittarius, and I'm wearing my medic shirt tonight.
Nice.
Because I felt like it. Yep. Had this for like, oh my god, who knows how long? So long, but worth it. It's very good.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So folks, we are going to be talking about Wild Beyond the Witchlight and how to run it. So, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, if you are unaware, is the brand new module, adventure path from Wizards of the Coast. And it's honestly one of the best ones they've ever done in my experience. Looking through it, it is a lot of stuff that is akin to a fairy tale. And it really fits the kind of the mindset of what an adventure should feel like. A lot of Wizards of the Coast mods tend to like get kind of off on tangents that don't really feel like they make sense, whereas the way this one's structured really seems very cohesive. And like I said, we're not going to spoil anything beyond chapter 1, so minor spoilers ahead. So first of all, in our game, if you've been watching so far, you've seen that the characters have done primarily we have been working off of one of the 2 opening stories. Now, in one of them, you are playing you're playing people who have lost things to the carnival as children, who have returned looking for their lost items or things about the character, which I'm not going to reveal. But there's something that you lost at the carnival and you're looking to get it back. Each one of these things is revealed to be held by a hag somewhere in the Feywild. and depending on where you get or where you are, where your stuff is taken to, that's when you get it back. And until you get it back, your character can't have inspiration, which is pretty great. There's another path that you can start with where a warlock comes and basically is like, hey, my patron is not answering my phone call. She's ghosted me. Can you go in and look for her? And he sends you on a quest. The only really good part about that one is this amazing art of like his giant pumpkin patch, because I'm all about that. But besides that,
I love it.
I know, right? It's so good. I really, really prefer the first one. I love stuff where people's pasts come into play, and then you have linking backgrounds. It's something that really,
I love
really...
the thing I've lost.
Yes, and nobody say what you've lost, except for the ones who knows. I'm really curious, out of those two options, so in this one, they literally set it up saying, use this hook if your players don't like the idea of their characters having to find things that they lost as children and would prefer a more traditional adventure setup. What do you think? Like, because I asked you when we were doing this which one you'd like, and I think you unanimously voted for the first one. But do you have any insights on that, or like why you like this one better? Because I know why I do, but I'm going to be talking a lot, so...
I think it feels a lot more Fae. It feels a lot more you're brought into it because of this innate connection you have that you don't really quite realize until it happens.
I also think it's more personal. It's more of
Yeah,
a
that
reason
too.
of why our characters would want to go somewhere, versus like other than like, hey, adventurers, here's want some coin to do this to do this task for me. It's like, no, I'm gonna try and get something I've lost. So I like it because it's more personal. I feel like there's more.
Yeah.
It's more real life for like motivation. Like it's still whimsical and very Fae, but it feels also like, yeah, this would be a reason why my character like would do this normally.
Yeah, we don't like to say that our D&D heroes are selfish, but at the end of the day, if you make them a little selfish, they're a lot more realistic.
Yeah, they feel like
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it also gave us a lot of like nice story hooks to play with for character purposes. Like mine's fantastic, and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, mine-
It's basically defined the character,
Yeah.
which has been great. Because the idea occurred to Kelly while we were talking about it, like before the game started.
Well, and it
And
was
so
something that
we
was
ran
like
with that.
perfect for you. Now, I don't think that I don't know if anybody has figured out what you've lost yet, so I don't want to share that.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
it
a
was said
question
in like the first
from,
episode.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, like-
Wolfman?
All of
lost
us have
a
shared
lot.
it.
Oh,
Not
did you?
everyone.
No,
Whatever.
I don't
I
know
shared
what
But for
it
the
was.
most part, but
Yeah.
Mine isn't shared.
So,
a lot of them got dropped really quickly.
I've half
Yeah.
lost. I've half said mine.
Okay. So someone in the chat just asked, should the PCs keep the lost thing a secret from each other? I think that you should. I mean, my vote is that the PCs should keep it secret till it comes out organically.
Yeah. And it worked really well for mine for the first episode, for example, in that Wynn's a little stupid. She's not too smart.
Yeah.
And she also I didn't see any reason to keep it secret.
Keep it safe.
It's like, it's pretty damn obvious what, well, I mean, not necessarily the actual detail of what she lost, but the way she acted, like it was right there, and she didn't see any reason to keep it secret. So, it depends
I
on what
shared-
it is and your character.
Yeah, I shared Isaac's out of character very quickly because it was way too funny out of character. But in character, he's probably a little touchy about it, so he's not gonna, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think, I would say that if you want more PC potential tension, if that's kind of what you're going for, is maybe a little bit of tension between characters, I think keeping it fully secret so no one has out of character knowledge they can accidentally or purposefully play on, I think you should keep them secret. But if you all just want to be buddy about it, I might as well share.
I mean, I kind of like the idea that you keep it secret in a fun way, not in a conspiratorial way. Like it's where like it's a surprise that you're sharing with friends.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that if it's in your character to share everything and not keep anything secret because we're all in this together, right? Then I think you should share it like in character. But if your character is more secretive, more like, kind of sketchy about the details like my character is, she definitely wouldn't share it until it comes out or until she needs assistance because she's selfish that way.
Well, my character, she doesn't know. My character doesn't know what she's lost. She's going to the carnival.
Amazing.
Cecilia has no idea what she's lost. I do. I know what she's
That's
lost,
amazing.
and it's great. But Cecilia has no idea what she's lost. She
She
doesn't
just
know what she's
feels the
looking
pull?
for. Yeah, she feels the pull.
Gotcha. I
Now,
love it. I love it.
Would you like to know a couple of things that you could have lost?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now,
'Cause
those
I
of
know-
you,
Of course.
But I just want to put a nice pin on and a kudos to Kelly and his DMing
thank
was we did roll randomly on the chart, but I know I rolled and you were like, that doesn't work for you.
I did
Don't
that
take
too.
it.
A couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
they were like, nope.
and I think that is a part of it of like, yeah, rolling random can be fun, but if it's not gonna be fun, like I've been stuck with characters that have something randomly put on them that it's like, well, I can't, this isn't fun anymore because I'm having to
Yeah.
deal with all this bullshit.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, that's realistic maybe, but there's still, you still gotta have fun.
well, exactly, and like I'm gonna say right off the bat that like Christine's one for Win isn't on this list. Like that was one that we brainstormed because we're like, so before Wild
Well,
Beyond
because
the
I needed to come into a different character type because most of my characters tend to be very practical and very calm and pragmatic sort of characters. And I really wanted to play something different because like Callie was a little sex pot.
Yeah.
Malia is just very kind of like stern and pragmatic.
Yep.
So I really needed a different like character type to play. And I've tried several different types via other games that weren't necessarily streamed. So I just really needed something different. Kelly's like, well, you could play clumsy.
Well, yeah, exactly. And one of the things that was really funny going into this adventure is that I had originally started telling people about, I don't know, like 2 months before we built characters for this, was like, okay, I have this idea where maybe you all have like lost something or are looking for something. Like that. Remember, I was starting to say that, and then it turned out it was in the module. Like that was that was simultaneous. That wasn't me like reading a spoiler. That was me being
you
like,
had been like, what's a thing from your past, or like, what are you looking for? Have a goal in mind, and
I was thinking fey contracts, and like I played a lot of Changeling the Lost, like the World of Darkness, Chronicles of Darkness game, and I'm like, there's got to be something. And there's a lot of things in this module where people are going to like try to trade you for ephemeral objects, like, you know, hey, give me your first kiss. Well, I've had a lot of kisses. No, I just want the first one. You'll never remember it. It never happened.
Yeah.
Oh. Suddenly, like, you don't have a child anymore because,
Yeah.
you're right. That first kiss never went anywhere. So someone just asked how many things there are. So there are 8 things on the list. You can customize it yourself. For a couple of you, I actually... Oh, thanks for the sub. I did customize for a couple of players. I'm not going to say who, but a couple of them here. So I'll say, for example, Isaac, you're a rogue, and you're a bit of a bullshitter. So rolling and not having the ability to keep secrets was what you originally rolled.
Oh, yeah, that would have been...
And that was like, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
And then another one that's really difficult. Now, a lot of it really also depends on your playstyle. So obviously we are doing this as a live performance as well as a game. So there are some things that we have to keep into consideration when we are playing characters. For example, things that make a character unable to speak are really not fun, because then you can't interact with each other or with the audience. So that's really difficult. And also, so Caitlin, you originally rolled the ability to smile, which would work for Luthien as a character, but for you as a performer, it would have been really difficult.
It would be so difficult.
And then it would basically be like, I knew that someone in the chat or someone in the YouTube comments would be like, that's her secret. She's been smiling the whole game. Right? And then it would be a big thing, right? So,
well, especially when I got that thing where I was really easily,
that would have been great if you're just like...
Easily amused. That was it. Oh, yeah.
constantly having your lip twitch, like you're having a mild like muscle spasm.
Yeah, exactly.
This hurts. Thank you very much. So there are a lot of them. And Isaac, you've already said yours in the stream. So Isaac lost 3 inches of height, which is the most ridiculous one on here, aside from sense of fashion. Although,
she's also so good.
If you're playing a cleric of any kind, I strongly recommend handwriting, because then you're a doctor.
Yes. It's
right?
True.
That's really funny.
My favorite game ever is What Does This Say? So
someone
fun.
in the chat just said we look so different when we're not in character. As someone who's only seen Wild Beyond the Witchlight video one, it feels like I'm watching your PCs cosplaying as Earthling humans. Yes, that is exactly it. This is the greatest show, life. So Sir Manzelot asks, how is it to play with the Witchlight hand background? Which is actually one of the things I wanted to ask you, Christa. So there are two new backgrounds in Wild Beyond the Witchlight. One is the Witchlight hand background, which means that you work for the Witchlight Carnival. And that is one I've seen the forums and like different groups about Witchlight DMing blow up about, because people are like straight up banning it. People are like, oh, well, it's not going to be any fun, or all my players want to be members of the carnival.
It's very easy to power game. I would, if I wanted to, I would be like, I would know this. I would know this person. Why aren't you letting me know this person?
And we had a talk right before we started the
Yes.
game, right? Where I'm like, don't lean away from that. You've been working on your station, and time is weird.
Yeah. And I knew some people. I just didn't know details necessarily.
Well, I mean, it's like any job. Like, you get to know people, but you might not get everything. And there's, I don't know. Did you enjoy being a Witchlight hand? Because I know you hung back from the action a bit.
So part of it, so I did, it was not from lack of fun. I was enjoying being this person of like, oh, I'm going to let these guys have fun, under the assumption of like, yeah, he's worked here for years. He's ridden all the rides. He's been through all the attractions. This isn't something that's necessarily new for him. So I was very much pushing people to enjoy the carnival where I could just stand back and watch. If you go to a amusement park with me, I stand at the side of the ride and hold everybody's bags.
You don't like rides in real life?
I do like them, but I also, if it means that like people need, I'll be like, oh, you guys go first, and then maybe I'll go with someone else if they want to go again, kind of thing. So because that's how I do. But no, I think the biggest struggle for me is one of my favorite things in role playing is kind of just like saying something completely out of pocket, and then everyone else being like, okay, do I want to go with this? Yeah, okay, let's go with this. And then just sort of having that retroactively become part of your backstory. I was very worried about doing that because I was like, there's so much set up here that I can say wrong things. Right, so like in most stories where it's like, oh well, the background is whatever you want it to be and the world is whatever you want it to be, I could just say whatever and we could play it in somehow. But because I had like, there's a structure to this carnival, I could say wrong things about it. That was why when my nemesis, Martin Westwood VI, who I have on a sticky note, it says my nemesis, stick it right there. That was very nice to be like, to have something that I'm like, okay, I can fuck with this guy. We can I can start really playing into this.
The chat is just spamming fuck Martin.
Yeah.
But I think Christa did a really good job.
You were gonna. There's still time.
True.
I was gonna.
I think the best thing that you did, Christa, as a player playing the hand background, was that you went and we were like, what do I know about this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Like it should be a conversation between the DM and the player, and a collaborative effort where the DM gives you the information and then you act off of it in that moment. Instead of trying to expect the player to remember it all. Or the player going like, screw you, I know everything.
Yes, and
Right.
I think that's the balance, and I think that's why so many DMs have banned it, because I think there's a lot of power gamers out there that are not used to this kind of a module, and like everyone has said, this module is very different, and so it's presenting people with new options that wouldn't have been presented before. And like I have sticky note after sticky note after sticky note of people that work at the carnival. Like every single person we met, whether I knew them or not, I wrote it down, right?
And there's a lot of people. And the best part about this carnival is that there's so many hands working here. What would they say? There were 100 and... quite a few. I have it written down.
So
Hold
many.
on. There
You could
are
conceivably not know them all or not
124
Exactly.
Witchlight hands, which means but that is so useful as a dungeon master, because that means you can invent one on the fly, and if they suck, cool, you can fire them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can
Get
have them
someone else.
publicly fired. Just improv it. It's really easy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because there's someone else who wants to run away with the carnival. Always is.
Yeah,
Always.
exactly.
I think one of the problems.
Especially the Fae Carnival. Holy sh!
I want to run away with the Fae Carnival.
Me
Yeah, who
too.
doesn't?
So
All right. right.
we're
So when it
done.
comes to town, we're gone.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that you need to do if you use the Witchlight hand background is you need to find a way to incorporate the player immediately. One of the things that is always difficult with Dungeons and Dragons games or any role-playing game is that do the players have a pre-existing relationship? And if not, why the hell are they hanging out together? Because how many D&D games everybody here have you played where it's like you spend an episode together and then you're like, why would I spend any time with these people? They're awful.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's
Oh,
stealing
yeah.
from us. That guy is seducing everything with 1 to 7 legs. That, not to discriminate against things without legs, I'm sure oozes are fair game too. And like, you know, like why would you spend time with these people?
That guy
That's
only
the
thinks
one-
about violence.
This person can't stick
cleric
their
of
head in a
peace.
book all day.
I mean, that's the
Still,
one
though.
reason, like, when I DM'd a game, I was like, no, you guys know each other. You're an established party. Figure out what you know about each other and be friends. Like, that is the
You'll-
biggest thing. Like, you
We'll
have to be
meet in a
friends already.
tavern. Sitting in a
I was
tavern.
so tired of that trope.
So-
I love the thing that's like where it's like y'all meet in a tavern. It's just like people hanging on meat hooks. It's just like y'all are meat in a tavern. Have fun.
Oh, fuck.
But I think that by having all of so like if you watch our first episode, I was like, how am I going to do this? So I decided some of the people were traveling together. I could have done a much lengthier introduction scene for everyone, but I kind of wanted to get us into the action. I would have made it a little longer if I had thought it through a bit better, I think. But immediately having everyone called up by name, like in front of the crowd, or at least for advanced tickets, because like, oh, your tickets have already been bought. And then save the Witchlight hand for the very end if you have one, and be like, hey, you too, right? You get over here.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you have the night off, and that because that'll confuse them. And then just imply, and because they're likely to be like, oh, well, what am I gonna do with this? Or they'll say something like that. Just fill it in with I don't know, show these guys around.
Yeah.
You have the ticket for a reason, right? And then a lot of times players will lean into those type of suggestions. They're like, yeah, I guess I probably do have it for a reason. There's a mystery here, you know? So you can absolutely do that. And also, like, the other thing that you can do if you're like, well, why would the Witchlight hand even be free? Just come up with a rule, because the Witchlight Carnival travels from world to world to world, like every night. Just say that you get a night off when you're on your home world.
Yeah.
Once every 8 years, you get a vacation day. It's like working for most corporations.
Exactly.
You know, so it's pretty versatile. You can do that. We didn't actually do the Fey touched background, or whichever one it is that is it Fey touched. The one where you're like, you were in the Feywild for a little while and now you're not.
Yeah, I considered it. I considered asking you if we could like rework it for Nico, but I thought over like different ways. I'm hitting my fucking mic, but whatever. I thought of like all the different ways we could possibly take it, and I was like, nah, it doesn't feel right. Like we possibly could have retooled it, but I was like, meh.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the
right?
time we learned about it, I was kind of like, I like the one I've picked already.
Right.
Yeah.
Overall, it's pretty solid, though. All right.
No, it's super solid.
I want to move on to some... Okay, so we have a couple of questions in the chat right now. So DM Mike asked, do you think the modules is wordy and easy to understand in its PDF form? I've only used the book, unfortunately. So like I like having an analog hard copy in front of me. So I think that in terms of like lots of charts and things like that, it's a lot of text. So you're coming at this from the point of view of someone who is visually impaired. So you're using a lot of like readers and things like that. There are a lot of charts of like a random dice roll, like 1 to 8 things, like the trinket table or the lost things table. And I will say that this book does have a lot of charts in it. They're bulleted charts, so I'm not sure how screen readers work with those. I think they're supposed to work decently well, but for example, in the first chapter alone, I'm seeing at least a dozen charts, which are everything from like what you win as prizes from these events to which hag has your thing to what random event is happening in the circus. at that time, right? So there's a lot of stuff that really does rely on that, and if that's going to give you problems, it might be difficult. However, I really like those because, like, I find that random charts, for me, because I have, you know, I can read them very easily. I find them really useful because they, at the very least, like, brainstorm. Like, they get me into a place where I can kind of, like, just, you know, think beyond what I roll. Bullet is pretty good. Okay, cool. That's good. Did you think of the 2 new races? Everybody had picked their characters because we are doing this as a costumed game. Everyone had looked at what they were going to play, and the rule was that, like, you can play whatever you can costume. That's usually the rule on Dork Tales, which it's going to be weirder. I'll tell you in January with the new game we're working on, because somebody wants to be a cactus person, and Christa, they're going to need some consultation if he actually goes that direction. He's gonna be a cactar.
Amazing.
I don't know. I think he's gonna.
I think I know who it is because someone reached out to me about it. So
I think he's gonna back off and play something else. But I know at least one person's gonna be a furbog for that game. But there are fairies.
Oh, it's Fearbog.
Yeah, so Fearbog. But I was trying to get Chris to play a cactus person. So they're pretty cool. So the Harengon and the fairies. I didn't use the fairies here, but we did use fairies. Robin, you played one when we ran Candlekeep. And one of the things that early level adventures do not prepare you for in most games is flight speed. Because Robin had a flight speed, she bypassed a third of the story just by being able to fly up to the roof.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I love having flight speed.
But it was like level 2, because, like, Hayden, that was the game that you and Alejandro were in too, and it was like you were supposed to do all those sneaking thing, and, like, no, she just went.
Whoop.
And it's like,
It was great.
Are you kidding me?
I can also fit to sizes. The fairy, I don't know if it changed from the, because I was using the Unearthed Arcana.
UA, yeah.
It
looks like the same.
But
Like,
you
they
can
were
also
very
shrink
similar.
to within an inch and fit in places that are like you can shrink to an inch down and go places. So it's just like that is so broken.
okay.
They limited that to level 5 at least.
Oh,
Level
okay,
5,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, so they tweaked it a little bit. And then the Harengon, I played the UA version of this for an episode in what, Caitlin?
Candlekeep.
I love it so much.
Were you in the game where I played the rabbit folk in costume? Did you see the photos at least?
No, I
You didn't see the photos? Oh god, it's in our Discord in the cosplay section. You should go look.
Amazing. I'm gonna look.
I'll pull it up
I'm
for the
also
camera.
gonna link our Discord. If
Yeah,
you're
link
not
our Discord.
on our Discord,
So,
join our
but-
Discord.
I mean, if you want to play a rabbit folk, they're great, but you have to play them like Bugs Bunny. That's the rule. It's my rule.
Weapon
but
season.
It's
I
weapon.
got,
like
What's
Bugs
up, Dak?
Bunny.
what's the Yojimbo?
Oh, Usagi Yojimbo.
Yeah.
Or, Captain Bucky O'Hare. Because he goes where no
Also
ordinary
good one.
rabbit would dare.
Truly.
Truly. Wow, the cosplay section's actually really bopping. Wow. There are a lot of messages since I checked that. Okay, so, wow, there's like everybody's cosplaying. This is great. Okay, so did you find the plot hooks presented by the book to be enough to engage players and establish how the characters knew each other? Or did you find yourself having to add more in?
I was just gonna copy and paste that.
It literally is popular. So I don't know. What do you folks think? Like, I think that it was pretty easy to work you guys together.
Yeah, I think the way that you presented us in the beginning was a really good way of putting us all together, and then just, oh my gosh, everything that was happening at the carnival was enough to fill 3 episodes
Yeah,
that
it really
we had
was.
clearly.
Well, and it really
So-
worked well that we, by luck, because again, Kelly didn't tell us
I didn't
anything
tell you,
about
Grant.
the
We don't
rides.
script our games,
Nope,
so like.
nope. Oh
No.
my gosh.
that
we're
we
like,
went
this
to
one
we went to the main plot drop, so it kind of all, I think it helped with our bonding as a group. As like
Absolutely. We were like,
characters.
oh, we have to
Oh.
be at the same person? All right.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Like, we have the
cool.
same
I'm gonna-
problem.
I'm gonna turn into a fox and bark over to this carousel, and that's cool. Wasn't even fucking intentional. I'm like, no, fox go wee. That's
Fox go
all that's in my brain.
Super.
Brain is rocks.
And if you go back and watch that first episode, you can see my eyes when you guys went to the carousel first. I was like, are you kidding me? Because like that's where if you want to stay together, that's where you've got to go, right? because that's where you get all of your information. And that you went there first just blew my mind.
Nico just wanted to ride the horsies.
Right?
It's true. That's all I wanted.
Oh,
Just
God.
to ride the fucking horses.
So,
Same.
I mean, I
though,
think the
same.
music just drew in right in.
bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-dum. So, very important follow-up question for this, actually. All right, let's get into this. So, Witchlight Carnival. What are the must-dos? What are your favorite? What were your favorite events? What were the ones that really jumped out at you?
The carousel.
The
But
carousel?
also the snail
the carousel. I
Snail
liked.
races.
Okay, snail races.
I liked the bubble teapot.
You did like that one.
Oh,
I
the
did.
bubbles.
Okay.
I thought that was fun, and I really liked the Hall of Illusions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think was
the
my
Hall
favorite.
of Illusions, for sure. For sure.
I
See-
really like the dragonfly ride.
Okay.
Yeah, that one was fun.
I gotta be cool.
The swan was also hilarious. So,
Oh my
like,
God.
that
Oh
was
my
Yeah,
so
the swan was
good.
fantastic.
The
Swan.
swan of introspection.
Yep.
She
I
is
feel like a
written
lot of
very
that was
fun.
how Kelly played her.
Okay, so do you want to know how you're supposed to play her?
Yeah.
So, Wild Beyond the Witchlight gives you this in the back of the book, which is the first time they've ever done this. It's a role-playing guide. So you can Xerox it or copy it out of the back of the book, or you can go pay to get a copy of it. So Featherine is described in the book as, let's see, Featherine. She's not even listed. They just give you a little write-up when you get to her, where it's like, what was it? There was the Silver Song Lake. No, it was.
Swandalas.
It was the. But that's not what they're
Gondolas.
called. They're
I know,
called
I know.
It's gondolas.
Gondola
Yeah, it's the
swans.
gondolas.
Let's see.
There's so much better.
Featherine is erudite and haughty. She asks the character several metaphysical questions as they travel, such as, what is joy? How do I know you exist? If the world is so full of magic, is time an illusion? And if the players ignore her or make light of her questions, she rocks the gondola and tries to push them into the water.
Damn.
But if they impress her, she gossips with them and tells them things about like Candlekeep and like enjoying late night debates with Burley and things like
I mean,
that. And anyone who impresses Featherine. So here is one of the things that the players do not know, and it's not a spoiler. Every time one of the things that you track inside of Chapter 1, basically, this module did something really interesting. And what it is that in good storytelling, you use foreshadowing and repetition. In tabletop role-playing games, particularly adventures, it is very hard to do that and provide player agency. It takes a really adept hand to use foreshadowing in a game without the players immediately getting kind of bored with the plot. If you do it wrong, they can get really bored. And anything that involves repetition can also be rather boring. However, the way that the Witchlight Carnival is set up is that when players do certain things, you're supposed to mark it down on the story tracker at the back of the book, because that action will have repercussions in chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's like, if you proved that you could, like, I don't know, get a bullseye at a milk bottle, like ball toss, and then later on you have to throw a key into the mouth of a dragon or something like that, you get advantage on that roll. Or something like that, because it's like you have the storytelling trope. It's coming back. Like, this was hinted at before, and I believe a clever dungeon master would reference that before and be like, just like the time where you did this. This is, you feel like this moment reminds you of this instance back at the carnival. And it's so cool. It's so well thought out. And this is why I'm really excited about this module, because it is very, very forward thinking. And I will say that someone in the chat just said something about the snail race, that it seems long. How did I streamline running it? I cut it down by a round. And I also made it so that, so the way the snail race is set up is that, you have to do, 4 or 5 rounds of rolls. And I find that just rolling numbers to see who gets numbers is really, pardon the term, but very masturbatory. It's very just like, oh, here we go. It's kind of a waste of time when you could be actually playing a game. And oh my god, thank you, Soul.
Oh, thanks, Soul.
Oh wow, he's Soul.
Soul, that is a lot of subs. Thank you.
On the subject, I saw a game that did where it could just be like rolling over and over and over again. I feel like if you're doing that, like you really need to intersperse it with like how are you doing this thing, and like having your players be like, well, this is what I'm attempting. Okay, do I do that? Yeah, because if you do that, it makes it like you're not just going, okay, roll me 5 saves.
Exactly. I think the one of the problems with the snail race as well is that you're also supposed to, at the beginning of every round, or beginning or end of every round, you're supposed to roll on the snail race surprises chart to see what comes up. But because the book has limited real estate, they don't want to do too many pages of these charts because then it raises the cost of the book. There's only 8 options, and 1 through 3 or nothing happens. So if you've got more than 2 players participating and you're rolling this every round, the saddle can fall off a snail only so many times and it's still funny.
Yeah.
So I would reserve it for like the second and final round, right? So that that's like, you don't want to do it every single round. Or alternatively, I think there's like 8 snails. You could roll 2d8 and say that 2 snails have one thing happen to them every round, and but I would just streamline it. I would cut it down and say that the snails move a lot faster. Also, it's funnier if they move a lot faster, I think.
Absolutely.
It was so funny. Where it's like launch 80 feet. It's like, what?
Yeah, you're like, what? You were like snail races. Oh, it's gonna be so fun. They're going so slowly.
Now
And
that's
then it
what I
just
call
kind of
snail
plays with
racing.
your perception. Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, and it gave us stuff to kind of like play with because I mean, I was like, okay, well, you know what? Wind's clumsy. And she's not very lucky. You know what? She's holding onto her saddle and just kind of flapping in the wind because she lost her hold. Like, she's not sitting on the saddle. She's barely holding on.
Yeah.
No.
She's flying away in the wind.
Yeah.
Win.
Did you see which now?
Wind. The wind.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
actually, yeah, the chat's right. You are supposed to roll a d8 to determine which snail is affected by it. Yeah. So it's only one, but that still is like, yeah, I guess there's a good chance it won't be everybody. It's more fun if it's all chaotic at once, but I just, to be honest, I kind of hand waved a lot of the snail racing. I won't lie. I was just like, I don't want this to go on for like 20 minutes of time where we're just rolling dice. Keep it moving.
And honestly, like you were saying,
think
like which
that's
were our favorite parts about it. Like honestly, my favorite parts were the swan and the small stalls.
I love the small stalls.
And the bubbles,
Yeah.
because those were the first, those I felt like were the first real opportunity for us to interact together.
That is
In
true.
like a slow down of like, let's talk as new people that have just met one another. It wasn't, okay, what ride do you want to go on? It's the difference of like going on a first date for coffee and going on a first date to a movie.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna have more fun and get to know the person better if you go and actually interact with that person on your first meeting. So to me it was like those were my favorite parts, because the rest of it did feel kind of like, okay, go, here's your clue, okay, go. It almost felt like an escape room, like you had to kind of bump.
Kind of is.
It is. It absolutely is.
Kind of, yeah.
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 And it's timed. It's figure out the thing, and there's all these clues you got to get. But I just wanted to like sit and bullshit with Gwen and like and dance with Nico and chat with Sarcira and Luthien. Like I just wanted to hang out, which hopefully we have more time to do that in the Feywilds. But
it's a very loose adventure, to be honest. Like compared to say like Rime of the Frost Maiden, where it's much more individual adventure focused. This is a much more loose narrative, and I think it actually is going to work much better because, and I'll get into it in a bit, but as far as I see from future chapters, because I'm still reading through the entirety of the book, like in minutia, I gave it a good skim. The story is really obvious. It's a fairy tale. Like y'all know exactly what you're getting into. Like everything is repetition of threes. Everything, so that means there's 3 hags. There's you're going to hither, thither, and yon, right? So like you're going to 3 places, and you have to go save someone or do something, right? So the structure is simple, and the structure is something that any person who has grown up with like Western style fairy tales is going to immediately get. The fun is in the execution and the way that you make it your own. So
to compliment you on that, I think one of the best things about how you made the carnival really exciting for like us as players, and I think probably for quite a bit of the audience that knows Dork Tales, is the cameos that you put in, because it's just like it makes it real and it makes it feel like it's our story and our world more when you throw in characters.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed that for like putting their own spin on that. It's like, yeah, you just have to mention, it's like, I know that's Zeet and Very right there. Like, I know that. Like,
I gotta
it's
say,
that.
best one,
Yeah.
Lucky.
Lucky's so good.
Being able to play Win and Lucky together was just like,
Oh my god.
That it helps if you can play your players well.
I kind of feel like at some point, potentially, like Amy and I have to sit down in character for both of those.
Just play
For
something
like
in
a
Extra
little
Life.
ad or something. For
Yeah,
Dork
extra
Tales.
life. Extra life.
Oh yeah, we can totally do some ad stuff. Hey,
Or
good-
something like
good
that.
seeing
Like
you,
having
Trevor.
that little back and forth between two characters.
Yes.
And yeah, thank you very much. I think that's a lot of fun. And you can do a lot with that. I think my favorite though was being able to take our friend away and have like Matt Mercer defer to him on some rules calls, because you know that was his birthday present right there.
Yeah.
That was pretty great.
But thank you. So what events do you feel like if someone's just looking for events to run? Because I'm thinking that like there's a lot to run. It took us 3 episodes to get through everything and the plot of the carnival, and literally y'all did everything. But if we only had one night, say we only got together to game once a month or once every 2 weeks, and like picture this in like 10 years with like families and kids and stuff like that, and you got that one night. What would you cut out? What did you not love? Because for me, the beginning of the bubble pop teapot with the rhyming goblin, I thought that was kind of weak.
Yeah.
I felt like the bubble pop would be really, really good if it was incorporated in looking for kettle steam. Actually, like if you're
Yeah,
like, we need to take to the sky for an aerial view,
Yeah.
right? That would be really
Yeah.
cool to make an action set piece out of it. But like, what did you
I
not
feel like the mystery mine was unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
All it
I
was
don't
was
think we
revealing
really
somebody's
needed it.
fear.
and
Yeah.
really
But not
painful.
to everybody, just to them.
So you want to hear the mechanics behind that one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so any character succeeds. So you must make a DC 12 Wisdom saving throw as each illusion appears. If the character faces their own fear, they have disadvantage on the saving throw. So each one of you gave me a fear in private chat. On a failed save, you are compelled to scream at the illusion as it terrifies them. Any character succeeds all the saving throws, so you have to do one for each single thing that comes up. But I think like 2 of you botched when you did it. So I just rounded up. I'm like, I don't want
I think
everybody to
so.
be crippled by this, like completely destroyed. So anyone who succeeds on the saving throws, on all of them, gets advantage on all charisma checks at the carnival until the crowning. Anyone who fails 3 or more of the ride's throws is haunted by nightmares for 1d8 days. Until the nightmares end, you must succeed on a saving throw after a long rest. I'm not going to tell you the difficulty. Or gain 1d3 levels of exhaustion.
I'm pretty sure you told us the DC,
Did I
because
tell
I
you the
have
DC?
that in my notes.
It's DC 12. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think I remember 12 being the number, because Cicera has that.
But it was like 2 of you botched, so I was just like, I'm just going to hit you with this, and it's, it's going to be bad. And also that meant that I could kind of... I feel like some of the parts, like the snail race and the mystery mine, had a lot of let's keep rolling dice until we're finished rolling dice. The same with the custard eating
Yeah.
contest. Although
Oh, I forgot about that
But
one.
that one
That
had
was fun.
it had custard damage, so I'll allow it. Also,
Yeah, there you go.
don't forget to check out our TeePublic store for the 1d8 custard damage t-shirt. Because I made it because I'm an idiot.
I would say, I think if you're going to cut anything, like you were saying, there are certain events that are roll, and it's all just like sort of grind. I think if that's what your players like, and they like the more mechanical aspects of a game, I think that's where you got to go. But if you're like us and you just want to like chat and like be in character and solve the mystery, I think putting those in a lot more would be, if you had to cut things, cut the ones that your players aren't interested in.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like one of the ones that doesn't stand out, probably because we already like talk to Kettle Steam and such, and I know that she's such a big part of like the other guy's storyline, but the one with Palasha, I feel like the whole like the scene there, I feel like that could easily be cut without too many repercussions.
There's really not much to that scene, and you could tell because a lot of it was improvised from our own games.
Yeah.
Mostly she just sings and like
Yeah. And I feel like that one's an attraction that's nice, and I know that she herself is a character that really needs to be, you know, she's integral to little
Candlefoot.
Candlefoot's.
Littlefoot is from Land Before Time.
I know, Land Before Time. Sorry, she's integral to Candlefoot's part of the story and like how he's gonna help you out and stuff like that. But I feel like her scene there doesn't need to be part of it.
I kind of agree with that as well. Like, you need to keep her in so that she's not just like the girl that needs to get proposed to, right?
Kiss the girl.
Kiss the girl. Yeah. So like you need to do that, but. So I'm going to let you in on something. So someone actually asked a question in the chat about how to run the game, and that is, I was wondering if you used the mood tracker. Yes, I did. So what you folks weren't aware of, because I didn't tell my PCs personally, did you make it visible to the PCs? Would you explain it to the PCs? So they could see it. I
was noticing what that was. I was going to ask that. Yeah.
So
I looked. I saw
what
it. I was curious.
there is and PCs, if you have Roll20 open, you can go and look at the bottom. There's a coin on it. So there are 2 trackers on the Witchlight Carnival map. One of them is a time counter so that you keep track of how many hours you are through, because there are events that happen at the 1st hour, at the 4th hour, and the 8th hour. And then at the bottom right corner, there is a mood tracker that is, I think it's probably 8 spots as well. I don't have it open at the moment. And basically what it does is it starts at neutral, and depending on what your players do, it changes the mood of the carnival, because this is a Fey carnival. And if you raise it, for one, if you keep it at max, one of you becomes the Witchlight Monarch. And if you drop it below the midpoint, the carnival starts getting hostile toward you. As in, it starts becoming a creepy carnival, and Mr. Light doesn't like you, and Mr. Witch wants you out of here. And it becomes...
I see.
Yes, and here is the thing. The entire module has things like this. Like the rest of the adventure, you're going to come across places where, depending on how nice you are and how many fights you get into and how much evil you do, it's going to be, you know, a nightmare or a dream. It's going to be seely or unseely.
Love that. That's cool.
But that also means that you own your own campaign. So like, if you want to play it, like if you want to play this thing like Curse of Strahd, I mean, you kind of can, or you could play it like Happy Bunny Tales or whatever. I don't know, not Happy Tree Friends, but I guess you could. But
Oh,
that is scarring.
What?
Don't watch it if you don't.
Happy.
If you don't know it, don't watch it.
yeah, they're happy. It's such a good time.
Oh, if it was a one shot, you need to skip most of the small stalls. I mean, yeah, they do take up a lot of time, but they are a lot of fun, and they give you some really cool items. Like I really like how. I think that one of the best things in here is. I think one of the best things in here is just the number of like single or double use magic items.
Yeah.
That are just like, yeah, no, it gives you this level 1 spell once.
It's a very fairy thing.
Right? And then it's like, a lot of them are like, it turns into a bouquet of flowers when you're done. You're like...
That's so cute.
That's
right?
so adorable.
I love that stuff.
I like that better than how magic poor Rhyme was. Because it's like, we did things and we didn't get much for it. This is like, here, take a little bit of items. Take a bit of items. I like it.
I'm like, oh, I love items. Yay.
Me too. I have like...
Rime of the Frost Maiden was so strong in the beginning, and the ending just did not quite function. I need to do a big video on how to do Rime of the Frost Maiden differently. I really think that, and if you want to like give me any feedback, you three that were in Rime, I'd love to do that. I think I have high hopes for Witchlight though. I think that because it's leaning into the fairy tale tropes, I think that it's going to hold steady the entire way through. There's one thing at the very end that I'm looking at where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I can always axe it. And also, if you're running this module, folks, don't be afraid to cut stuff if you don't like it. And like there are things in this module that like you might not like, and just don't do it. Like just take it right out. Like if you don't want the hide and seek thing inside of the Pixie Kingdom, if you think that's a little boring, cut it. If your players won't enjoy it, cut it.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Oh my God, who's doing?
I genuinely kind of forgot.
Yeah.
What just happened? Somebody just subbed.
My
a bunch.
goodness.
Indie Mama.
Thank
Indie
Mama,
Mama,
thank you so
gift
much.
5 subs.
Oh,
Thank you so much. That's so lovely of you. If you're in this, then the best part about the Witchlight Carnival is that your players control the action. Now, I've had people message me, and one of the reasons that we wanted to do tonight is that I've received like, I don't know, like at least 5 or 6 people on Discord alone who have been like, hey, I'm nervous about this module. How do I handle this? And I'm really worried that I'm going to get overwhelmed. And you can. So from DM to DM, I'm going to talk to you really bluntly right now. You're going to get overwhelmed. You can actually probably go back and watch my episodes, and I don't know if you can see it on my face, but there are times where I was feeling a little overwhelmed, or where maybe I read a rule wrong, because during my rehearsal reads, like I read through everything twice, I took notes, but when it came down to it, I summarized the snail race a little bit. And even then, I didn't read that one little thing about how it was supposed to be only one snail, because it's a big chapter. There's a lot of moving parts in here, and you're going to make mistakes. The best thing that I can tell you, though, is no one in my game realized I made a mistake, because I'm the one with the book. If they called me on a mistake, then there's a problem, because they've been reading the book. So don't worry so much. Let the players pick what they want to play. Take notes. Be prepared. Try to have the big ones you think your players might go toward. You can even send them a message beforehand or ask them like, hey, out of these, what are you the most interested in? Because I have a lot to work through, especially if you're new. And don't tell them what's going to happen. Just be like, what do your characters want to do, this or not? And if they kind of jump it on you, like, there's nothing wrong with reading the box text and letting the characters talk or roleplay for a second while you quickly skim the next 2 paragraphs for what you forgot since you read the book. Because you're going to forget stuff. This is literally... Oh, God. The first chapter alone is... Let's see, 55... the first chapter alone, once you get to the carnival, is 32 pages. And I'm going to tell you what I tell every new DM. Okay? I have a master's degree. I was not expected to memorize 32 pages in a row perfectly for my master's degree. And any player or other dungeon master who expects you to memorize every minute detail is not being fair to you or realistic. And if they can do it themselves, good for them. That's not what the game is about. It's not about getting 100%. There's no test. The test is whether or not your players talk about it when the game's over.
And a big difference, I think, between most people, because most people are going to be running this at home, if you need to take 15 minutes to say, hey guys, does everyone want to go grab water? I just need to refresh this next section. You can do that. Like, we're on a time limit when we're doing it, and we're in front of people, and we're performing. So, like, Kelly doesn't have that luxury of stopping and going, give me 15 minutes, I gotta reread this. And like, so don't, like, especially if you're a person that has only watched performative D&D, that's not how it works at home.
Yeah, the critical role effect is rough.
It's true. That's not DMs aren't like that. I have had like some of the most amazing DMs I've ever had have, and Kelly's included in that. Not that I played a ton of live games with you, but but like in live games, it's hang on, I just need 15 minutes. I just need to like redraw this map, or oh, you guys changed something, so I got to fix this thing. So give me like 20 minutes. You can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, and you should take time. Like, and it's fine. You can let the players role play while you do it. It's pretty great. Just keep an eye and just be like, all right, so what did I miss? What did I miss here? So, or you can just kind of ad lib. Like the way they have it written, actually, I found really, really useful, because a lot of what is directly beneath the box text can also be read almost as box text. And by box text, what I mean is like the shaded thing that gives you the setting description. So like, Burley removes his jack-o'-lantern helmet, right? That. And there's actually a surprising amount of debate in DM communities when you're running adventures whether or not you should use box text. And there's this contingent of people that think that it's like showing weakness to use the box text.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from people. I'm like, but it's there though.
It's like, I mean, obviously remix it. Like,
yeah.
If you watch Rime of the Frost Maiden, I make up stuff all the... You can tell is because when we're with the adventure, you can watch my face and it's... Burley removes his jack-o'-lantern helmet. Flies begin buzzing. You see my eyes just drift up to the camera?
Yeah.
because I'm like, nah, I got this. But like, it's right there. Use it. It's like a professional writer provided this to you. And
Exactly. Someone was paid to do that.
Yeah,
You know, it's not cheating. It's an assist.
There for a reason.
It's an assist. It's an assist.
It's an assist, right?
Not everyone is professional writers.
Yeah.
Like, use it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you can improv it out, do it. But like, I mean, I don't know. Like, the box text is there. At the very least, like, professional bakers use cake mixes because it's faster and easier. And
Really, if you're
just saying.
judging someone, if you're judging someone for not, like, oh, you're using the box text, why are you running a module? Go run your own damn game. Make up your own shit.
Exactly. There was like there's so much inside of this module that you have to keep track of, and it can be very overwhelming. One of the things that I strongly recommend is there are two main styles of running non-player characters, and that is basically there's the performative and the narrative side of things. So a performative would be kind of what I tend to do a lot more, which is like I'll adopt a voice, an accent, a mannerism. I act as the character, right? So you walk up to Candlefoot, and Candlefoot's voice is deep and sultry, and he sounds like a radio announcer, and he's, "Hello, I'm Candlefoot the mime. Kind of weird that I have this voice." Right? And you describe a lot of his actions, things like that, but you speak in the character's voice. But not everybody does voices, right? Not everybody is comfortable with that, and some of the best DMs that I know tend to not do that so much and are more descriptive in how the character acts. Like, Candlefoot walks up to you, his voice is deep and rich and like I don't know, like a lava cake, and and it's just this delicious rich aroma or in your brain. I don't know. Like I said, I'm the performative style. I think a lot of people get really hung up on that because they don't want to mix the NPCs up or they don't want to fail anything. I really suggest, for one, copy these out of the book if it'll help you. I use a Google Sheet. I have a Google Sheet that is literally like character's name, what chapter they're in, vague notes about personality in case I forget, maybe alignment if it's there, and then I also say like a quick 1 to 5 word accent summary or voice summary, like Sam Neill on a bad night, or I don't know, horny Joker, right? Like something that will immediately, I'll look at that and be like, oh yeah, that guy. And I didn't update it quickly enough because I think I got Delagran's voice slightly different between games. But it's also a great place for you to like just mark stuff down. And if you're not using like a digital thing, use a piece of paper. Just take notes. And I used a lot of Post-it notes. Actually, and Christa, you said you used a lot of Post-it notes as well to keep track of everything, right? So
yeah, I have like a big fancy journal, but I just like really quickly scribble notes so that I can kind of reorganize them in my book. So I can keep things together that make sense.
That's fair. Yeah, not everyone is capable of doing voices. Yeah, and I don't think that I think that anybody who goes into a game thinking that it's going to be Critical Role or it's going to be like anything even remotely like, a team of professional voice actors sitting around a table playing a role-playing game, they're going to be disappointed if that's their first experience. Go in like having fun with your friends. It's the best way to do it, and it's very hard if people are exposed to professional level quality or even like, what the hell are we, journeyman quality? I don't know, us. Like they look at this and they're like, oh, these people really know what they're doing, and sort of. Hayden knows what they're doing, but
some days.
Some days. I'm just being calm. It depends. Any suggestions on methods to sort notes? Whatever works for you. I have ADHD, so I have multiple Post-it books. These are all of my character creation notes for our homebrew setting. Here, let me just do that for the podcast version real quick. This is just like plots, go to dungeon. Okay.
I So I use Trello a lot for work. I don't know if anyone else is familiar with
And
Trello.
you keep trying to push Trello on us, and I really want to start using it for production stuff.
I really like it. It's a great tool. However, I found someone who set up an entire Trello board to run their Curse of Strahd game, so that they can, and like the cards are click and drag, so if like a character showed up in one place and you didn't end up using them, you can click and drag them over to a different scene. You can keep track of all sorts of different things.
It's
you
free.
can invite, it's totally free. You can invite people to your board to look at stuff. There is a paid version which has some fun options, but for the most part it's really just if you're doing like project management, so it's not really worth it. But check out Trello, search up the Curse of Strahd will give it, like I was looking at it, it's incredible. They've got pictures, they have links to maps and like links to their
Trello of
Roll20
Strahd.
maps. Exactly, yeah. Curse of Trello, more like. But yeah, it's like that might work for you. If that's how you like keeping notes, to be able to reorganize them really easily.
To quickly finish the question about the mood tracker, would you make it visible to the PCs? Sure. I didn't hide it from them, and I let them watch it themselves and see what happened. But how would you describe it to them?
I didn't even notice.
If they don't notice,
barely notice.
So, how would you describe it to them? I would just say that if you need to make it more obvious, if your players are really doing a lot of things like picking fights, which is a big way to lower the mood, it'd be really good to have, like, you could have Mr. Light show up and just kind of walk by and kind of leer at them and go, actions have consequences at the carnival. And then just kind of vanish into the crowd. Like, you could do, like, just creep them out.
Well, and I mean, we did know kind of throughout it that we needed to really raise joy in the carnival, because we wanted to be Witchlight Monarch to get close to him to steal his fucking watch.
Yeah. I think if that is what's integral to the module, I'm not quite sure like what we had to do to get to where we are now. But if you really needed to do that, I think that exactly, like saying something about raising the mood, something about that. Exactly what Kelly said with
ambient stuff is fantastic.
That. Exactly.
So there was another question here that was, saw a lot of highlighting in your book. Curious as a newer DM, what are you highlighting? Do you have general method of how you always do this? So the way that I do things is I went to the dollar store and bought a bunch of tabs. So there's an awful example, which is like slightly green, so my green screen's gonna get it. But like, I'm tabbing everything that I find important. Because I don't want to highlight this book, because at the end of this run, we're going to auction this book off for charity. So I want to make sure that it is in semi-pristine condition, or at least that like the wear is natural and it's not that me just graffitiing the book, unless the person wants it, then I'll annotate the hell out of it. So I usually use a color-coded guide, so like reds and purples, because you run out of a certain color pretty quick. So yellows are just, hey, remember to do this. Reds are, these are plot points, and oranges are, this is a role that you need to remember. Pixie Kingdom, Jarrett.
I did that similarly with Storm King. Was like, I actually had a little list I made myself where I wrote it out and then highlighted in the color that was going to be highlighted in from there on, so I could remember what color highlight was I using for character information, what color was I using for like location information or plot points or that sort of thing.
The chat is saying right now that like they want me to start highlighting the damn book. Should I start highlighting the book instead? You know what? I guess that makes it a collector's edition.
That's why everyone's so excited about the Rhyme book.
Up to you.
All right, fine. I'll save a lot of money on like stickers.
Yeah, I think that was the thing, is everybody was really excited about the idea of getting the Rhyme book because it was so highlighted and annotated.
Okay, so here is actually, I just got the best question from Indie Mama. So I have a weird fear that my players are going to not care about raising the mood at the carnival, or just not care about the carnival at all. Like immediately going and picking fights, or put their full attention into finding the entrance to the Feywild. Whew.
Like murder hobos.
Like murder hobos. So
I get that they like an evil campaign then.
I would ask, first of all, like, hey, talk to your players before the game and be like, hey, so this starts with a carnival. Is this something that you're all interested in? Like you can talk to them out of character without and out of game without like, I love your mug, Caitlin. It's a pumpkin mug. I've also got my jack-o'-lantern mug.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So, because it's Halloween time. So I would talk to them beforehand to make sure that everybody's on board with what this adventure is about, first of all. But I don't know. That's a really rough one. I mean, it's player-based, so they get to choose everything, but there are ways directly into the Feywild, like, pretty quickly. And if they wanted to do that... okay, minor spoiler. This is not really a spoiler for the adventure. You players have experienced this, and I think that anybody who understands narrative convention at all kind of gets this idea. So there were 3 creepy critters inside of the carnival. There are 3 hags. So obviously we've got some minion action going on, right?
Yeah.
So at one point you encountered one of the minions trying to convince a halfling to come into the mirror world. So in that, had you failed to stop him, or had you basically, if you hadn't found him within 3 rounds of entering, or 3 rolls of entering, I think is the way it's written, he would go through and you would just see him go through at the last second. And if you tried to run up and enter, you would hit the wall and be unable to do it. For one, as a DM, if your players aren't having fun, just like run something like that and have like, yeah, sure, they can go in. Why not? They have no context now for what they need to do there, but if they you can have them pop through, and then suddenly as they're falling through, what I would do if that case, I'd have them run through the mirror, and then I would have them tumble down a black kind of like I guess just the hole similar to Alice in Wonderland, and have like a bunch of mirrors floating around, and have like Mr. Witch and Mr. Light appear in the mirrors and like give the exposition forcedly. Now that you've gone to the other side, you need to see or hang on to your butts for the rest of the ride. And let's see. I don't know. Basically, you can come up with a quick rhyme that you can drop. Rhymes are super easy. Like yeah, so whether you go far, whether you go near, now it's your job to save all of Prismere, right? Like something like that, right? But you can totally just come up with some backup options that your players would like, and if their ultimate goal is to just get there and get stuff back, I mean, why hold them back? Yeah, I mean, if they want to intimidate and beat the crap out of people at the carnival, they can. Like, there is security for them to fight if they want to get into fights. But I don't know. I found that it was really interesting, like letting y'all loose in the carnival, and then y'all just made the fun for me. Because this module is amazing. Because how many times do you get to go to an amusement park in character?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't. It's great.
And how often do you get to go to like to do something like this in character at all? Like to just go and have fun in D&D?
Yeah.
It's so rare.
I think it's akin to the shopping episodes where the players are just dicking around and RPing and just doing random shit.
We're just having fun.
But this gives you dopamine hits for doing the random stuff too, right? Because you're progressing the story, and you're like
Exactly.
and getting little magic
Story
items
hooks in that.
Yeah, it's like the best. It's like the better version of the shopping episodes. But that's what I can think of. Like that's the kind of episodes where you as a player get to just not necessarily fight people. You just get to go around and interact and talk to your party. Like I found it was really good to establish like connections and again that reason of why we're sticking together in the Feywild.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, it gives the
Now I
players
feel
more. It gives them more say on what they're doing, but still advancing the story because they're not being dragged by the nose over this way or over that way, and they're not just like shopping, which will give them more stuff, but it kind of advances the plot. Exactly like that.
exactly, right? And it's fun. It's weird and quirky, but I know that not everybody's going to be into this. I know there's going to be a lot of groups who look at this adventure and they're like, oh, this is stupid. If I wanted to go to an amusement park, I'd go to an amusement park. It's like, well, if you wanted to go stab someone, you just stab someone. Like, come on. Like,
Just
Yeah.
sick Delagrin on them. Here,
Yeah.
enjoy
Oh,
an
dude, he's so
elderly
cool.
laser
I love
beam.
It's so cool.
Zelagrand so much.
And there's a lot of really cool things inside of here. And I think this has a lot of opportunity for, like, I don't know, especially if you're bringing, like, existing characters into this. For example, I would love to take a character who's like a big, dumb, angry fighter and then have him just, like, turn into a complete idiot at the Almerish ringtone. I got it. You know, this giant hulking Conan barbarian just, like, losing his mind in the bubble pop
That
teapot.
shit's so fun.
Because, like, that doesn't contradict the character. It's just like,
No.
oh, this character has facets. And then he's like, I will still eat the bones of my enemies. Tiny teacup.
Again,
I are pretty.
oh, what the carnival reminded me of, and now it has nothing to do with D&D, but I've been watching a lot of Korean dramas lately
Okay, as you
with
do.
my roommates. Right?
Which one are you watching?
We finished watching Black a couple months ago,
Is it good?
and it's, oh my fucking god, it's amazing.
Okay.
It's so fucking good. Stick with it, but it's an 18 episode slow burn supernatural crime drama.
Does it get there?
Oh my god, it gets there,
Okay.
and I cried so hard. But there's a carnival amusement park thing in the show, and as soon as you're like, yeah, we started a carnival, I'm like, my brain is in just the right place. But this is my
Nice.
shameless plug for everyone. Go watch Black. Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
And talk about it on
Anyway.
our Discord.
Yep, it's fucking amazing. But yeah, no, every time we're at the carnival, I'm like, I just want to rewatch Black now.
So going forward into this, I guess one of the things that you're going to come across as you're getting into this game. Actually, I already talked about that. Really, I was going to say that it was just as a DM, always remember the rule of three. This game relies heavily. This book has two numbers actually that really focuses on. There are three, and I'm not going to tell you the other one because you'll have to figure it out yourself, players. But three is easy in Western culture. It comes up constantly. It's in everything we do. Also, try to work a rhyme in, like, as much as possible. If you are capable of rhyming, some people are really bad at it. And don't beat yourself up about that. So what else is important about this?
Tried
so
my best, Kelly.
You did a damn good job, and you know it.
I know, I'm joking.
If you can put in Eminem references, it's all the better. So I think that, I mean, just let it be fun, you know. This may or may not be covered. What was your opinion of Wild Beyond the Witchlight since you first got the book? Actually, no, it hasn't. I actually I was kind of excited to get it. I was worried that it would have the same structural issues that Rime and the Frostmaiden did, and once I heard the announcement that you could win the game without rolling initiative once, I was like, huh. And that they designed it to be able to do that. I'm like, okay, that means that they put more thought into the ways that you can succeed in things. Because I'm gonna tell you what, I love a good fight. I like a good fight like every other game. Like, if fights take up like half of a game session, every game session, I feel like I'm not doing my job right. Because then fights get really repetitive that way. But if you have like a lot of games where it's mostly roleplay, and then you have a knockdown, drag out 5-hour long combat session against like some hulking monster, that's cool. Like that feels like it actually has meaning, and it has a build up, and there's this tension where you're starting to get a little itchy for it because it's D&D. You want to fight some stuff, right? But I really like that because it means that you don't have to fight about small things. Because the thing that I dislike the most in all modules is usually the random encounter charts. Because it feels like I'm playing it feels like I'm playing like a Final Fantasy game back on like the PlayStation, where I'm wandering through the field and then suddenly right? Like I don't want that.
I think those are really, really good for beginner players and beginner DMs, because that way you get an opportunity to learn how fights work on a few different times without the weight of it being story important.
Or if you're running short on prep time and you're just like, shit, what do I do tonight?
Yeah,
'Cause we all have
encounter.
that. We all have that. Yeah, I've even had it on stream where I've been like, okay, I worked a double shift today before I streamed. What do? Werewolves. And suddenly werewolves. But I do like that we can get through a lot of this without fighting. Although Christine keeps pointing out something to me, and that's that by the time we get into an actual combat, y'all aren't going to know how to fight as your characters because you'll be level 3 or 4.
Oh, true.
I don't know how to fight as a monk yet.
Oh no, me neither.
You know what?
Man.
It's gonna be fine because once I get to level 3, it's all gonna be different. It's all gonna be different. Just saying.
Is
Well,
it?
That's not
Is it
ominous
now?
at all.
It is though.
I bet it's not shown in your art at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. Also, a big shout out to our artist. Do we have her as a macro real quick? Because I know
We
someone was
should
asking
get her
about
as a macro, but
should-
yeah,
we should add her
it's
as a command.
Kiyoshuki.
Kiyoshiki is so good, and she's really
I
great.
will link her Twitter.
She is the second favorite artist that we have ever worked with, because Hey Liz is our girl. But Kiyoshiki is amazing, and was really, really responsive and quick. So if you need some D&D art done at very reasonable prices for the quality you're getting, like, go check her out, because like her commissions
She's
are fantastic.
Fabulous. I think I came across her originally because I entered her art raffle.
Oh, nice.
And then I was just still following her, and I was like, I'd like to get like some art done of like some D&D characters kissing. And I found her, and I was like, hey. And like the next day, she's like, is this what you want? I was like, yes. Here you go. Here's my wallet. Thank you.
Right?
Enjoy
I
the
have
wallet.
so
Just buy.
many arts I want to get done
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
her.
So
It's-
Random Equinox in the chat is just throwing great questions. So read only 2 major criticisms. If you roll 20 maps and the campaign is only levels 1 through 8, yeah, you don't need more than 1 through 8 for this. And actually, that's really funny that it's 1 through 8. Now that I think about it, okay. Nothing. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's cute. It's cute. These guys they got some cheeky writers on this. I'll just put it that way. These people are definitely high on their supply. But the Roll20 module, there aren't very many maps, folks. So in the entire like versus Rime of the Frost Maiden, which had tons of stuff, Rime of the Frost Maiden had, I don't know, I'm gonna ballpark and say 30 maps. And I paid retail for it, so I think I paid like 40 or 50 bucks for it, like US. I paid 20 or 30 for this one at a pre-price, and this has, including the Dungeon Master tips page, I'm not even gonna include that. I'm just gonna do the maps. 1, 2, 3, 11 maps. That's it.
Really? That's
Yeah.
so few.
And that's
Yeah.
including the Witchlight Carnival map.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there is a lot of stuff where it doesn't seem like they have really included a lot of things for encounters. And this, unfortunately, is where you're going to have to dip into your wallet to go get information from elsewhere. Now, I haven't had a chance to review this yet, so I'm going to do a free plug to something written by someone that I've trusted in the past. So I went out recently, and for the Hithers portion, this is a print off of Inside Slanty Tower. It's something in the Hither domain, and this is written by Dan Kahn. And Dan Kahn did the Towers of Magic that we used in Rime of the Frost Maiden. So basically, within 1 week of everything being published, he has gone and already created additional content with additional maps for these things. So far, this looks pretty cool. I've only briefly skimmed it. He generally gives some pretty cool magic items, has some interesting monsters that have like some twists to them, and he charges $1.99 for it for a 10-page expansion, which, I mean, you already paid 40, 50, 60 bucks for the book, depending on where you live. So it is kind of, it does add up, but you're supporting an independent creator. So that's kind of nice. And his work's really good. So it's Dan Kahn, not spelled like Genghis Khan, but Kahn. Really, really good creator. We like to use his work here, and he's given us access to use his work. So kind of cool. Yeah, I did pick it up. Actually, Random, you're the one who told me about that. So I did pick it up the other day. And then, thank you very much, Sylvester Slays. And then, okay, so someone is saying that there's something about this that...
That's amazing. Sylvester's been subbed for 2 years.
2 years? Oh, it's our 2nd anniversary, baby. Thank you so much, Sylvester Slays. You'll always be my baby in the corner. So Random, you also had a question. May or may not be covered. Okay, this is for the players. Did the fact that the Witchlight, the entire game, could potentially be played with a minimum of combat have any influence on how you built your characters?
Not really.
Okay, Caitlin shaking her head. Everybody shaking their heads.
Nico can be pretty passive. And like the Archfey, like abilities actually go really, like, they go hand in hand with how this module can be played. Because even just I didn't think about it until after we left the goddamn carnival, I'm like, at level 1, I have an ability just innately where I can be like, I'm charming now, make a save, mother truckers. Basically, I can either charm or frighten somebody. Or like multiple people from what I read, and I'm like, that would have been real fucking handy, wouldn't it have been? It would have if I fucking remembered.
Yeah. I think most of us created our characters before we even knew what the module was really about and like what the deal was. So we built them just as characters we wanted to play.
And what was costumable, and you decided to be a Leonin for some reason.
Because you said you wanted something wacky.
I did say I wanted something weird. I'm so proud of you.
You can't fucking call me out like that. Because I'm gonna fucking step to it.
Krista, I bet you can't turn Chris into a cactus.
Oh, I bet I can if he lets me.
That's the thing. He has to let you.
Amazing.
Actually, he's looking at a couple of homebrew races from Elos because it's an Elosian game. Yay, homebrew! It's going to be awful, folks. Not in a bad way, but in a definitely, it's going to be a rated R game.
No.
It's inspired by Bloodborne.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even before I knew how like roleplay heavy this game was going to be, I kind of wanted to play like a chatty character, and I originally wanted to go bard, but we had a bard in the previous game, so we didn't want to be doubling up. And so I was like, okay, I'll just be a con man rogue. It's the same thing with just slightly different numbers and slightly better in combat with less magic. So sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think there's a lot of really cool stuff in this, and I think that it really allows itself to be like everything. So if combat is optional, so okay, here's the deal. The game uses, so there's a question right now about the module being able to be taken to a higher level. Yeah, you probably could. A lot of the big bads that you fight can be scaled up really easily because they're fey creatures. You can just be like, oh yeah, they're more powerful than that. They have more hit points. Their saves are like 2 points higher, 3 points higher. You know, raise the saves like a point or two for every level that your characters are above where they should be. Rime of the Frostmaiden had and I'm going to keep comparing it to Rime because it's the last module we ran, had the most awkward level milestone system, where you would be given all of these things like, oh, if the players do this, then they need to be at this level, and if they do this, they'll be at this level, but the math didn't make sense. So if your players did more stuff, they skyrocketed above where it was. I think that you all beat the game either 1 or 2 levels above max.
I think we were level 12 by the time we ended.
Yeah, and it was levels 1 to 11, and you went into the last fight at level 12. So technically you ended the game at level 13 when you got teleported back. I would have given you the level if we kept playing.
I mean, Callie rocked that fight.
Yeah, no, Callie,
true.
that was not really... I had to oh god, it was very hard to win, I'll just put it that way. But this game does not have that type of leveling system where it has all of the different factors. It is literally, did you make it here? Cool, you get a point. Did you do this? Cool, you get a level. I said point, I meant level, but it's literally like if you walk through the front door of this location, you gain a level. If you defeat this thing that you have to defeat in one way or another to progress the story, you gain a level. And that's it. You do that 6 times. And then there's one final test that I'm not going to say that gives you a level. And that's really good. You can use XP, you can use all that. I prefer milestoning personally because XP is just more math, and I'm a fine arts guy, so more math is.
I like both.
What do you use for? Sorry, yeah, Christa, what's up?
I have a total sidebar, and this is just a question that came up on TikTok the other day. Does anyone say, and this is a question for the chat as well, does anyone say EXP when talking about experience?
No.
No.
I usually just talk about
Absolutely
XP.
not.
XP.
XP.
Right? Because
Yeah.
there's someone I follow who has a actual podcast, very good, but they are a player that I believe has only played for 5th edition, and they said, oh yeah, I just remembered that some people use EXP to level, and I was like, EXP?
Because
What are you
EXP was the
talking
bar
about?
in downtown Vancouver.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Man, I missed that bar.
I missed
Well,
that bar.
and
They had some
so
good
I-
food.
I
Have
thought
you ever
it was
been
just
to
a new
Stormcrow?
thing.
Stormcrow
Oh, yeah.
is pretty.
Oh, I want to roll for a burger there.
I rolled for that, and I got
for
some
Shell
pretty
last
bad.
night. It was so good.
An Apple user to say XP.
So hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully the
Wait, what?
pandemic
You
will ease
roll
up,
for
and
a
we'll come visit you.
burger? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the
Yeah,
toppings. It's a D20.
And you roll.
Yeah.
I'll
And
take
you
you there
can
sometime.
also-
You'll like it.
Dude, if y'all come to Vancouver, we should super Stormcrow. We rolled for shots.
Wait,
That was a
do
good
we have
time.
soup or Stormcrow or just? Never mind.
I mean, if you wanna, I'm down.
All
Last time I was there, I did the portal shots.
Portal shots.
Ooh,
Yeah, you get
those
the
are
orange and
great.
the blue one. It's pretty fun. It's a cool place. So got a question
lightsabers.
from Goldenias. Even though this module is heavily based on foreshadowing repetition, but even so, there are characters that are really, really, really deep, specifically for sure. So my question is, considering this adventure relies on lots of cliches and common characteristics, how can someone make the NPC's depths more apparent? Depth, like the individual. I think I know who you're talking about, so I'm gonna have to step around this one so that it is not super.
Someone mentioned the centaur, the fact that they had this very deep backstory. So you can probably
Alright,
talk about her.
I can talk about Diana Cloppington, absolutely. Well, actually, there's 2 good examples from the Witchlight Carnival. Actually, 3 if you count Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, because their whole thing. So Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, you're never going to find this out, and it doesn't factor into the story really. But they're Shatterkai, so they are Shadowland.
You said that.
Yeah, so they're Shadowland elves, and you can see that by looking at them. Like it's like
Yeah.
you're not drow. You kind of look like someone left you out to bleach in the sunlight. They ended up like getting a carnival, and in the they went into the Feywild and met another carnival. Like they just bumped into each other. Then they got really drunk and decided, wouldn't it be funny if we traded ownership of the carnival till we bump into each other next time? And so this really happy group ended up in charge of the creepy carnival, and they ended up in charge of the happy carnival. And now
Oh my god.
they are dreading ever bumping into them again because they're happy for the first time in their lives.
Oh.
So,
Damn.
right? So it kind of gives them a bit of motivation.
Yeah.
For them, I think eavesdropping is a great way to do that if you want that to be a part of your game. But inside of the carnival itself, there are 2 places where there are NPCs that have a lot of deep backstory. One is Diana Cloppington, who is at the carousel. That's the centaur, who isn't actually a centaur. She basically got Full Metal Alchemist. She made a deal with a crone that her warhorse had died, I believe, right? Who went missing in battle, and she wanted anything to be reunited with her. And the hag was like, "Sounds good. Don't read the fine print." And so, yeah, she got her back. They were reunited permanently at the hip, and she's now a centaur and stuck that way. And it's this really, really deep backstory that you can go into. I bled into that a bit when we were talking about. Well, basically, you just said, you weren't doing it, so I had a random kid shout it from like, "Oh, look, mommy, a centaur." I'm not a centaur. And then you're like, "Say what? But you look like a centaur." Right? So bait your players if they're the type who actually care about that. The other one that I think I actually just had to tell you it because nobody was caring, and that was the organ grinder. Because there's this big, paragraph long...
And I was gonna say that plays into the fact of feeling like, okay, well, we got to get to this thing. We got to go to this thing. There wasn't a lot of
Yeah.
time to be like, so
Yeah.
what's your deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that
we
was
kinda-
near the end where we kind of were like, oh, we haven't done the Calliope.
Yeah.
I kind
Haven't done
of
it yet.
I kind of pushed that in
Oh,
because that
right,
was like
yeah,
we had spent 3 games doing it, and because we're playing live, we kind of you have to do it a little faster than you would at home, just because y'all are watching. We want to keep you entertained as much as we want to play, right? It's a balance. She got her horse back. That is ouch. I think people go
It's
to the
front
carousel
and
first because it's front and centaur. All right, you're allowed to. No, you're allowed to stay. You're allowed to stay. You have to join the Discord now though, because you're one of us. That is awful. So there's like, for example, the organ grinder monkey is actually a former organ grinder who got his brain swapped with a monkey after he got drunk with a leprechaun.
Damn.
And he collects buttons, and that's his thing. So it is really difficult to do that, and to I think at the end of the day, a lot of it is going to go under the radar, and it's going to be for you to carry across with your portrayal of them, and to help you understand their character motivations. But I mean, it is always a bummer when you got like someone actually provides you a good NPC and you want to get into it, but like nobody cares, right? Or they don't care about that NPC. They care about, Glib Glob the Goblin, right? Or like, for example, Hayden, what shirt are you wearing right now?
Fucking needs more Huarwar, bitches.
Because Harwar became our number one
We
NPC.
just decided we loved him.
Cause you cast Adam Driver.
It wasn't even that. He was just a whole time. And I was like, you're weird. I like you, but I like
So
shitting
good.
on you because Lysithian Callisto enjoys shitting on people.
And Vistra never trusted him, which was smart, because he took the fucking crown. Vistra, vindication.
You have to destroy the past.
I know,
But
dude.
you have to.
There were so many moments with Huarwar where I'm like, vindication! But also at the same time, you're a dumb fuck. But also,
was
I love
great.
you.
Yeah.
He was
I
so
don't
great.
know how to feel about you, so I'm gonna yell at you in this accent
He's
and
like
be
the,
hot.
It's like the best shirt. Like, it's really just a really nice shirt.
Dude, it's just actually a
I
really
debated
good
wearing
shirt.
it tonight. I debated wearing it.
Because I've got our homebrew shirt right now.
Oh, I was gonna wear that one too, but I was also like medic though.
And I've
The
got
Okay.
cut on this shirt is actually really good, and it's one of my favorite shirts just because it fits really nice.
It
This
does,
isn't
and it's
even,
really
like, an
good if you have
ad.
like a curvy figure. Like, it really
Yeah,
just kind
I'm
of
like, I have like natural like skinny curves, and I'm about it, and I'm like, it fits like a goddamn glove. I love this.
it's one of the
Christy,
best
and
things
you
I've
and I
ever
are
made.
cool too, even though we're wearing plaid shirts.
You're wonderful.
Yeah,
Both of you are
we're
wonderful.
cool too.
But like, because the players are always gonna like, nobody was like, nobody gave 2 craps about half the NPCs in Rime of the Frost Maiden. They loved Harwar, and you have to force Velen down their throats. And I think the players were like, I guess she's with us now, and just kind of accepted it. But then, I had plenty of time to humanize Velen and slowly
Yeah.
like add backstory that wasn't written to her thing, where it's like, yeah, she shakes a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, but why? Does she just have like a condition? It's not written anyway. Fine, she's dying. There we go. She's looking for a
It
cure.
felt like there was a lot of that in Rhyme, where
What?
it was like there's stuff that was just kind of like there, but wasn't really embellished. It's like this just kind of is a thing. And I fucking love Velen.
By the end, when
like,
she was sexy gold tiefling.
No, even before then. Like, that wasn't me. I just really enjoyed her character, and I enjoyed sort of the shared arrogance between her and Lysithian.
Yeah.
They had a lot of overlap, but there was a lot that they kind of butted heads about. I liked playing off of Velen a lot. And then I wound up really enjoying her character and what you did with her.
Thank you. It was a bit tricky to work with, though, right? Like,
yeah.
Because I think this module might be the other side of that, where it's giving a bit too much character backstory at times. So you want to give it there, but you don't necessarily need it.
I'd rather have too much backstory to work with than too little, in my
I
opinion.
agree.
Because that gives you room as a player to ask questions, and I love asking questions.
So, I mean, like, looking at future areas here, there's a lot of stuff where a lot of things are socially based. Like, there's a lot of characters who have things like tales of woe attached to them, where they have to tell you their backstory and you have to help them out, right? And it getting into this, I mean, it feels a lot. Okay, everybody, this game feels a lot like the Labyrinth, or like Labyrinth, the movie. Like, there's a lot of that type of vibe in this, where it's like this person is going to randomly exposit at you, but because of the fairy tale vibe, it kind of works. It just depends if you lean into the convention or not, right? So it is what it is. I think, I don't know, like, what do you all think about ways to add that in? Because, like, there are plenty of ways to kind of do it with, like, little descriptions, little mannerisms, eavesdropping, or having other NPCs talk about backstory stuff is a good way to do it, where it's like, you know, you run across somebody who knows something, or they communicate something to you through just, like, you've never seen The Labyrinth? What are you doing, Necro?
Labyrinth is so good.
David Bowie
So
plays with his
good.
balls.
It's true. He does
It's
this the entire time.
He has dance magic. You remind me of
It's
the
so good. Of the babe.
the babe with the power.
Power.
The power of
Power
voodoo.
of voodoo.
Who do?
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the babe, a summer baby. There we go.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I needed that setup. Thank you so much. Should we do it straight? So I don't know. What do y'all think about ways to introduce? Like, if I were like, I have this incredibly, like, wonderful NPC that I have all this backstory for, and I need you to hear it. How would you want to be fed that? How do I
think the
sugarcoat it?
rumors, eavesdropping works. 'Cause again, it's hard as a player to know what NPCs are good to get lots of information and backstory off. Because sometimes it's like, oh, is this Kelly pulling someone out of his ass right now, or is this someone he's thought about? So I think, like,
my
like,
favorite noise.
eavesdropping or hearing rumors is a really good way to be like, oh, did you hear about so and so? Like, so and so's husband left them suddenly, blah blah blah. Like, it's kind of like that. Or yeah, just, oh, I hear, you know, that person is not doing so well, you know, rumor has it. I think overhearing a lot, because then it doesn't gives us the answer.
The Swandalo is a really good way. Like, that got
Yeah.
us interested in Candlefoot.
Someone have kids yelling somewhere?
Sorry, that's my land.
Oh, okay. You're on camera, folks. sorry, Krista. So it's kind of easy to fall flat with all the fairy tales and conventions. In my experience, players start taking them for granted, I suppose. And for the first time, this module has some really, really well thought out personalities. I agree. I agree. You like to bait the hook and have the party wait and overhear confrontations through the door or whatever. I mean, that's always good too. Like I said, the overhear is really good. The meddling old woman is always a good one too. Like, for example, like the prince is single. It's like, oh, you look like a bit of cheesecake. Are you single? The prince is. I get a portion of the dowry if he accepts you. I need new teeth. Weird things like saying you need new teeth will make an NPC immediately memorable. By the way, the weirder and quirkier NPCs are. Let your awkward flow. Yeah, let your awkward flow. So, I mean, falling flat, like, I don't want to get too far into the other chapters, but, I mean, this is one of the things about this game, because Wild Beyond the Witchlight is written more thoughtfully than a lot of Dungeons and Dragons modules, and I think that a lot of Dungeons and I'm gonna hear something about this, but a lot of Dungeons and Dragons games tend to be more focused on adventuring and combat and things like that, right? So they sometimes these games minimize stories compared to a lot of other role-playing engines that focus more on story over things like combat and leveling, and it's just a style preference, right? And I've talked about this in some of our panels and events where games that are focused on levels and games that are focused on power gaining are different conceptually than games that aren't, because you always are trying to get something, right? You're always trying to get bigger, better, cooler. Whereas in other games, I mean, yeah, you want to buy cool powers and upgrade your character, but it's more secondary. It's not quite as like, it's not a stairwell, it's a mountain, you know? But I mean, when you have a level progression, it's like climbing stairs. Like you have a goal at the top of the stairwell. It's level 20. But I think this is just a different paradigm where you're looking at a game that is far more based on interaction and role playing than it is on combat in many ways. And I think it's definitely leaning that direction in this book, with the focus taken away from combat as much. You can still have it, but it wants you to talk to the NPCs before you stab them a little more, which can be difficult for certain groups. I've definitely been in those groups before. And yes, I did know there was an animated Dragonlance soul. It is awful. Although Kiefer Sutherland does a voice. I don't know. I got sidebarred. But yeah, so I think that, like, that's what I have to say. Anybody have anything to weigh in on that one?
No, not really. I think that kind of covers it.
I'm super excited for the next part.
Dude, I'm really excited. I'm very, very hyped.
We're in the phase.
I know that as Nico, I'm ecstatic.
Now, if there are any more questions, please pop them in the chat. And as far as this is concerned, y'all, I like doing these episodes where we kind of summarize how a chapter went and like how to do it better, and like, because I think a lot of people go into dungeon mastering and even playing games with a lot of anxiety because they think there's a right way to do it, and there's not. Like, so long as you're having fun, you're winning. And that's not just a platitude. Like, I have played games ran by really not very good game masters and dungeon masters that I had more fun in than games where the DM was like super good and did all the voices right.
He's talking about me.
You're a good GM.
I loved playing
But
under
again,
you.
but like, that was the thing, is I didn't have to do anything because you guys just interacted and had fun. That's
But that's also
a
a good thing with a DM GM too, is knowing when to step back and let your players do the thing. Because a hard time I think a lot, like I've only DM'd once, and I know, like, I had to quell the need to control necessarily the narrative myself, versus like, let the players have this section, let them have that moment of RP. So I think that's also a good thing on you too as well, Chris. It's like, it's that good balance of knowing when to let your players fuck around and then
let your players play.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch our Candlekeep Mysteries games, because we did all of Candlekeep Mysteries, it's on YouTube, youtube.com/dorktales if you're not watching from there already. You can actually see the way that Christa runs games and how different it is than me. We both do a lot of silly voices for characters, but my favorite thing about playing under Christa is she really enjoys her players. She really does. Like, when we're playing under you, Christa, I'm gonna butter you up right now to get you to run something else. But you laugh so often and you are so into it.
It's so fun to break you. It's
so fun to break you, because then our characters just do ridiculous things, and that's the vibe we're going for, right? It's like, I'm sure that you could do like big, epic, super dramatic if you wanted to, because people who run more comedic things are often really, really good at that. But when we're just playing like a one-shot Candlekeep adventure or a two-shot or something like that, having something where we get to do like really silly things and just have like a real blast. And every time we make you laugh, it feels like we're succeeding, and it just is. It's the best. It's one of the best parts about running a game, is like sitting around and having that connection. And it's one of the reasons I think that, to reference Critical Role again, that things like Matt Mercer's "So how do you do this?" is so, because it's an immediate connection where he's kind of like smiling down. He's like, "Yeah, here you go," and he wants you to kill his dude. He wants you to. He's handing it to you on a plate, and he's loving it. And that's why he's so fun to watch, is stuff like that. And that's the number one thing that you can bring as a DM, is just a connection to your players, and to get out of that mindset where it's you versus them. Like, you're trying to kill them, but you're not really trying to kill them.
You should be cheering as loud as the players when your player rolls a 20.
You should be their number one fan, kind of.
Yeah. And you don't want to necessarily kill them. You just want to give them a challenge so you feel like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, you want to see us do the dance. Like when we finally killed frickin' Oral, we all danced.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you want your players
That
to
was
do
really
that.
exciting.
So, spoiler for Rime of the Frostman, like our campaign, Robin was having the worst time for like the last 3 episodes of the game. Like, didn't get a single attack in against the Lich.
Lich. Oh my god. I wanna
And just like
so
constantly was just like messing up and botching and messing up and botching. Couldn't and kept not being able to do anything because she didn't have any magic items. And then they go up against Oral the Frost Maiden, and I deliberately was like, I'm gonna resurrect your character's dead sister as a zombie and throw her at you, and I'm gonna do everything I can to hurt this character. And you proceeded to kill Oral not once, not twice, but in all 3 of her forms, you got the killing blow. And that was not me fudging dice. That was not me fudging numbers. That was legitimate. And you got so damn excited. It was amazing.
So happy.
so
I'm getting excited talking about it again because I'm just like, oh, yes.
It was
Those
so
are the things
good.
you remember as a player, and those are the stories you tell. Like, I got to mic drop a couple of Lich's phylacteries once in a Pathfinder
Ooh.
game, and just like walk up to like the Giant's Keep and like hold out the 2 Lich's phylacteries, broke it into pieces, drop them, and teleport away. Like, fuck, like that's the best
It's that
moment of
shit
my
where you
life.
drop.
Like, yes, and like it was a decade ago, and it's still like one of my favorite memories. So like, yeah, that's the stuff that your people remember. Is let them get away with shit.
Right. So, got 2 questions real quick. I do want to say that we've got 2 comments actually. One from Rio, who says that he appreciates how from one campaign to the other, our characters feel so different from each other. It's not just the player with a different coat of paint. Thank you. We try really hard. That's all. I'm so blessed that like so many of my friends are talented actors and performers and just players in general. It's so good to be able to have this many different personas. And then Benny Keys says, I've watched many of your characters, only in the realms. I still keep catching up on Nern and Emery's. Please keep killing, but not killing. I do my best. And after Emery, there's going to be unnamed campaign that is based around some stuff that our friend Soul in the chat has sponsored on our Patreon, because you can create things for the game in Patreon, but it didn't fit anywhere, so I have to run a whole damn new small campaign for it.
Ah, shit.
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be
Yes.
So actually there are 2 great questions that I want to touch on. Rio asked, I've been having trouble with a player who is so eager to engage with a scene that I never finish describing, and then other players don't have all the information. Thoughts on dealing with that would be appreciated. For one, I think it's good that the player is that enthusiastic. It can be super annoying. We've all been there with the whole like it's the monologue interrupt, where it's like, fools, you have come into my den of evil, and I shall.
A magic missile.
High five, Christa.
Right. So
Where are you?
you are
I'm
always
over
gonna
here.
have like dickish players that do that. I have a general rule at my table for like things like that, and for like using spells in ways that are not technically outside of the rules, but they're like, oh, I want to use this because the rules don't say that I can't. And I'm like, okay, you can, I can.
Yeah.
Then I'll start stabbing you in your sleep. Just gonna put that out there. Like, if you want to play the hyper effective, not playing into the drama characters, we can do that. But I'm gonna Nazgul you. I'm just right. You know, so it really depends on and if your players are fine with that, cool. If they want to run gritty, dark, realistic rather than hyper heroic, that's fine. But as for like reading box descriptions or room descriptions, honestly, just be like, as you're describing the room, say, you know, so we'll do an example here. Somebody interrupt me. All right. So whoop, whoop, whoop. Not gonna a 12-foot tall walking tree garland in golden ribbons.
Oh my god, can I
marches
climb it?
Hold on just a second. There's more going on here than you realize. Walks through the thoroughfare. Emerald clouds swirl above the tree, which you're going to climb in a minute. And rain down golden. So like you can do, you just kind of be like, oh, hold on. Get excited about it. Be like, oh, ho, ho. You haven't heard the best part. And then it doesn't matter if the best is like, oh, hold on. Like just do like, there's a way to do it kindly without, but anyway.
I mean, it becomes
Such
a
but wait,
complete
there's
problem.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
If it becomes a complete problem, like, have a conversation. Just say, hey, like, make sure, like, maybe do even like to let me know that you want to do something, like do a little hand motion or something. So that I know to check in with you once I finish the description.
Speaking of
if
that,
it becomes like a really reoccurring issue.
Yeah.
so
And also, like you were saying, don't let them think that you've forgotten it, but you'll climb in a minute. Like you were very on that.
Yeah.
So
And
as long
honestly-
as they know that you aren't forgetting it, then they probably won't interrupt you again.
It's true. And if they keep doing it, what you can do is whenever you read a description, you can just raise your hand and be like, hold up.
Yeah.
So that they know that you can't interrupt while you're holding up your finger or your hand or whatever, right? You're just like, nope, this is you're frozen in time as you enter the room, right?
Well, and I think a lot of, because I know I've been in situations where I've been like, okay, shit, they mentioned something. I want to be able to act before something happens or before someone else does something. So, like, maybe just prefacing it and saying, okay, I'm going to do a just quick description of the room. Nothing will happen to you and you will not miss an opportunity until I'm done.
Box
So-
text.
Like
And
in
then
like in LARP, where we had time freeze.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
DM would call time freeze.
time
Everybody has
freezes.
to freeze in the exact moment that they're moving in.
Yeah.
Like if you're walking forward, like starting to stumble forward, you freeze. And then he describes what's going on.
Yeah.
Like this is, you get this swirling thing description coming around you. And then he goes, okay, time freeze over.
Yeah, exactly. Time freezes
But you
off.
know
Time
what's
resumes.
happened. And now you can act again.
So, and apparently, Rio, you're saying that most of your stuff is voiceover or virtual tabletop. Then in that case, just use that type of technique and say, all right, pause, describe it, and just establish, like, all right, so hey, when I'm reading these descriptions, we'll act in whatever initiative order takes place. But until I'm done, until I say, like, red light, green light, Squid Game, then, like...
Or, elementary school.
Or elementary school, yeah. Same thing.
dark with it.
Same thing, like, right? Didn't you
so
take elementary
I
school? I'm
watched
not gonna make that joke. I'm from the States. I'm not gonna make that joke.
Oh, geez.
I grew up in the military, right? So we did have guns at school, but it was like
Yeah.
they were usually with soldiers. So
Well, yeah, well
right.
trained.
You know what? We're gonna back off this one. I'm not going down this road anymore. Just chew on my boot a little harder. Yeah, you can. Yeah, and can you mute them? But yeah, just do like red light, green light, or like, hey, pause. All right, now what do you do? Right? Oh, I see you there. I see you. I see your mic keeps blinking, but I've muted you.
I see you.
You're trying. You're trying. What is Squid Game about? About 10 episodes, I think.
Oh, wow.
Children's
I'd like
games.
to add to the
Deadly.
like just being voiceover because over on Nat 19 we are just a voiceover show. Like we just do VO. We don't do on camera or anything because we rely very heavily on like our character art. So
Beautiful art.
instead, we
It's
are
dope.
spoiled by Hasmi. Oh my god. But anyway, I could talk forever because beautiful art be pretty. But what we started having to implement because we run into people like speaking up or like cutting each other off and stuff like that because we're all funny or we think we're funny. This goes for any group.
But we actually are funny, so that's
Yeah, I know, right?
and
Pretty
handsome
spoiled
and
by you
clever.
boys. Exactly. God, you're all so fucking pretty.
That's why we
Damn
have
it.
cameras, and Nat 19 doesn't.
Damn!
Oh.
Excuse me, Nat 19 is full of
Ouch.
hotties and I don't
Wow.
want to hear
Prove it. Prove it.
Wow.
We're all just more. No, we're just more
You're all
vain.
hot as hell,
Yeah, we're vain. We're
That,
vain.
that sounds like you not getting evicted right there.
right? Listen, I'm the cute basement goblin. But anyway, what I was
Yeah,
going to
keep
say,
going,
what we
keep going.
started doing, because we play on Fantasy Grounds and we use Discord. And Fantasy Grounds has this wonderful little chat box where it like shows all your rolls and stuff like that. Similar to Roll20, but better. But anyway, a lot more like implemented like coding and shit like that. It's a whole thing. But we've been trying to use the chat box and as well as like the Discord chat to tell our jokes to each other because sometimes there's a really funny joke or a really funny comment that we want to make about like a monster or a scene that's happening, but you don't want to interrupt someone's role play, or you don't want to interrupt the DM or someone's description of like a kill or something like that. So we've started putting our jokes or our comments in our chats, and I found that, like, we've all found in the group that has really helped a whole lot to alleviate like any interruptions. So maybe with your group, try to like make a request that if someone has a chat or something they want to do, post it in the chat. Because
well, then it's timestamped too. So if there's like an order of operations, it's like, well,
exactly. We had a fairly mansion gamey session for our Princes of the Apocalypse campaign. It was great, and we're like, my character and my friend Logan's character, they were off on like a date, and Logan was like, "Cool, there's something else going on," but message to DM, "Hey, as soon as the scene is done, I want to talk to Regan."
Yeah.
To like make sure that happens, so then you're not interrupting the flow of a scene, but the DM has that message that they can see, and then they can jump on it. It just, I find, especially with just VO games, that really has helped.
And I think that one of the things that newer DMs and GMs struggle with is, and it's something that was mentioned earlier, which is players not being given as much, like the DM's trying to hold on too tight.
Mm-hmm.
And the more information and agency you give your players, if they're mature enough players that they will like not just immediately be like the Michael Scott improv, "I have a gun," right? If they're decent players, the more information they give you, the more you have to work with, and the more agency you give them. Like in a lot of, like, I don't know, in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I was like, you know what, guys? What does a hamster sound like? I just let him pick. I didn't have anything prepared for the hamster. I forgot. That was Sean Connery. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be weird. Here we go. And I think that was more fun to watch too.
It was so funny.
Well, and like for Witchlight, I'm trying to be careful, because when being a bit stupid or just silly and a bit thoughtless does interrupt, because I'm reacting to what the NPC is saying in the moment, and I'm trying to pick my moment, so I only do it once in a while so it doesn't get irritating.
I think you've been doing so well.
It's been perfect.
Especially
really
like
good.
when the goblin, the like bubble pot teapot was all like trying to explain, blah 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 blah, and when just like, "Do I not get to ride? I want to go on the ride. I don't want to understand." Just cutting him off, like,
it is hard to play a fun, dumb character, and you have really, really won.
Yeah.
Like, it is just...
That archetype
I'm trying
is
really
my
hard
favorite.
to pick my point.
All right, so I need to... we need to start wrapping this up in a couple of minutes, because I want Christa to go rest up so that she is able to come and play next week for episode 4 when we get to Hither. Oh, God, it's going to be so good.
2 games back to back.
2 games back... No?
Sunday.
Oh, what's Sunday?
That's Deadlands.
Oh, crap, you're right, because you got to heal up because we're starting our deadline. I'll tell you about that when we do the closing. So we have one more question that I'm going to use here. Frog. Okay, I'll do 2 more quick questions. Okay, so you're good at enabling players to roleplay. Do you know of any accidental things DMs might do that shut down players RPing? Yeah, you keep going and don't let them talk. Give them quiet moments. That's literally the number one thing. You describe something, and like, I think the best way to do it, my personal rule when I'm running live and like on screen, is I do a mental count of 3. You can do it a little faster in person, or as much as a count to 5 if it's a dramatic moment. But I'm like, you walk in here and you see this and you do this. And if nobody takes the bait, I might suggest something else. Oh, there's a creek in the corner. You see a mouse run out. The mouse has a gun. He wants you to help him kill the man that killed his father. Right?
Does he have 6 fingers?
Oh man, I am in. Let's go. I'm helping this mouse.
So I
Completely
think that,
abandoned the entire module. We're
Oh,
helping
yeah,
this
fuck it.
mouse.
Yeah.
welcome to Mouse Quest.
Love him.
Being open to flavor, like, because I know there's been a few times in when I've played under other people that it just felt like if I was trying to do anything flavorful, it got too bogged down in actually trying to make it work and be like crunchy with like rolls and like actually doing it properly. And it's just like, well, no, I'm a fucking bard. I just want to do a cool performance and do this cool thing. It's not meant to actually influence anything. I just want to have this cool moment that's just for flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kind of bog that down, that can be really, well, what's the point?
Yeah, that was kind of like at the snail races. Like, I didn't participate in the snail race, and like I didn't care if I got to affect anything or roll something. I just wanted to, like, I was like, oh well, this is what he's doing, right? It's just to have color in your world. And and if you want to say, oh, like my magic missile is purple, like, who cares, right? Like,
Yeah.
or okay, well, when I summon animals, they're statted as velociraptors, but I want them to be geese.
Yeah.
Like, right? Sure.
Are you sure a velociraptor has enough stats for a goose?
Yeah, exactly.
T-Rex, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Just a very big goose.
Just very, very, very...
It's just a goose.
It just takes that much surface area to stretch out the power of a goose. Only a goose can handle that. So yeah, I mean, just like give it room to breathe, right? Like there's, I was just watching some videos recently on cooking velocity, I believe it was, cooking inertia, about how the best chefs understand that like meat continues to cook and vegetables continue to cook after you remove them from the stove. So it's the same thing with acting and role playing. Like if you give it something a second to breathe, like the scene will expand to fit. Sometimes, and you just got to be comfortable with a little bit of silence. Besides that, I don't think I have enough time to really get into any of the other questions, but there was a really quick one about what do you do with players who don't like the spotlight or the ball, like passing the ball to them. Find out what they do like. Find out what they do want. And roll with that, because like, I mean, a lot of people don't really dig the whole, I don't know, performative aspect of D&D, because it is a game, and people sometimes just want to play it as a game. But find out what they do like, and the number one thing you can do, in my opinion, and please everybody weigh in on our way out, is to make people feel cool. And that doesn't always mean like giving them center stage. Christa.
Yeah, the first character I ever played, I chose to play as mute, because I was like, I don't know how to, like, I was like 14, we were playing a vampire game, and I like had no idea. I improv'd in school, but I'd never done this kind of thing, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna make a character that's mute, and then I can just say what she does and learn the system by watching and not having to be a huge participant. And if there's someone at your table that just wants to describe their actions or say, I say this, because they're not comfortable with that aspect, then whatever, right? Like, you don't have to be the center of attention. Someone will be.
Yeah. It's always about being cool. Anybody have anything to add to that on our way out? All right.
No, not that I can think of.
So
I just say lots of people get into D&D because they want to feel cool.
And
Yeah.
Like, lots of people like want to make their characters do things that they think are cool, whether or not they can in real life. So they want some aspect of themselves to be cool. So yeah. Let your character be cool.
Exactly. On our way out, I just wanted to say, Christine, you got the best compliment I've ever seen in a chat. Your character's dumbness was compared on par with Grog's from Critical Role Campaign 1. And I think that, like, as my favorite character from that campaign, I'm like, damn, that's good. So thank you so much for
that was
that.
Travis, wasn't it?
That was Travis, yeah. I love Travis's character so much.
That character was so good. I didn't actually really watch it, but I have heard enough about it and heard the character speak a few times.
Well,
I know
the
who that
series is dropping soon.
That's just like, so cute.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited. Drops next year.
Which I do like the idea, Indie Mama and Rio, of the whole like evil sentient weapon that Gwen turns chaotic good just out of like cluelessness.
All right.
That's really funny.
Ta-da.
So, folks, on our way out here, I just want to say really quickly, thank you for tuning in. We were keeping steady with like 60 plus viewers all night asking questions. Hopefully, if you're watching this later, we answered what you needed to hear to help make your Wild Beyond the Witchlight game, or whatever game you're running, a little bit better. I want to move more into instructional elements in the future for the channel as well. So hopefully this was a good litmus test of whether or not you like that, and anything that I can do to change the format up. Let me know. Leave some comments. Join our Discord and talk about it there. It's in all of our video descriptions, and if you're listening on podcast, it's there as well. I also want to quickly thank all of our upper level tiers on Patreon. So, for example, our 3 divine patrons who have created gods for our home setting, the divine DM Michael Gray, who's right in the chat right now, as well as Jade, who's in the chat right now as well, and has a whole campaign coming her way, as well as Shulton, who was here earlier and I think has gone to bed because he's down in a different hemisphere. But thank you so much for your support. It really means the world. And I also want to say thank you to our Princess of the Patreon, which is Buddy1977, who's a fantastic person, and Taryn, who has been with us since almost the beginning and is just phenomenal person. If you want to join them and get additional content, access to games that have been recorded so that I can take a day off occasionally and broadcast then, or to a podcast that we release once a month now that is behind the scenes stuff, mostly us just like shooting the shit and having fun, you can go ahead and go there. I think it's like $10 a month gets you the podcast, $5 a month gets you everything else, and then $1 a month is, I don't know, gives you some stuff. It's nice. And it helps us grow. And it's nice. Besides that, you can go and check out tons of other Dork Tales content. It's a little quiet this week because we are adjusting to a schedule change. But you can generally find us here running this game every Monday night, with the exception of in 2 weeks we're running on a Tuesday because it's someone's birthday on the Monday. And then we're away for a week because of a retreat where all the Dork Tales people are going to go and retreat. It's gonna be nice. Also, quick reminder that at the beginning of the month, on November 5, 6, 7, I think it is. On November 5, 6, 7, we are participating once again in Extra Life. So, if you have any dollars or cents and would like to put them towards a tax-deductible charity, we are going to be running 12 games over 3 days in support of the BC Children's Hospital and Extra Life, or wherever the player who receives the donations is from. And it's fantastic. It goes to a wonderful cause, and several of our players actually are here on this planet because of the BC Children's Hospital. Strangely enough, a lot of nerds have health problems when they're young, or maybe even today. And so, who knows? You might be supporting like the next stream that you like in 20 years, or maybe your kids' friends stream or something like that. I don't know. There's so much cool stuff that this can do. Thank you so much. We do a lot of we really love Extra Life. Extra Life is part of the excuse for this channel because Caitlin was doing this, and I was like, I could do something like that.
Yeah.
So it's all Caitlin's fault.
But come check it out and help pick stuff like my next hair color.
This is true. Or my beard
Highest
style, if I'm
donation.
still doing that.
Or where I get a tattoo.
Yeah.
That's Extra
I
Life.
Putting
will.
our bodies on the line.
I'll auction off my hair this year. I'll do it. Or
Will
hair
you?
color.
Jeez, I was gonna make
I'll do
masks.
hair
I thought
color.
that was.
I do a tattoo within reason if I had a choice.
Do you have a choice?
I don't have any tattoos yet, so that's
Neither
a
do
big
I.
thing.
But at a tattoo Uncle Sharky's like, no, I'm just gonna get a needle. We're prison tatting it up.
I mean, the thing is,
Hooray!
Sylvester designed me a cool tattoo for Extra Life.
You're just
so
gonna
if
get it
I
right here.
wanted- yeah.
Get your cutie mark right on the
Not
cheekbone.
on it.
It's gonna be on
People
your
want to
butt.
pick my
Oh,
hair
yeah, I guess
color
that's a
this
bit
If it's a
different.
year,
cutie
I'll
mark, it has to be on her
Mark has
ass.
to be on your butt.
Yeah, skin my flank.
All right, folks, that is going to be it for us tonight. We will see you next Monday for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, episode 4. If you like what we do here, give us a follow, give us a sub. It always helps. And don't forget that we have a lot of other stuff on the content. A lot of other content on the channel, which you should check out. I've been talking a lot. We'll see you in the next video. Good night, everybody.